Hariom friends, welcome to the first part of the series on the Waqf taxation. So this is regarding the Waqf Act. So this series will cover, what is the Waqf Act, what is its history, and what are the implications going forward, and what are the key points of the act or the amendment brought in by the government in 2025, which is this month in April. So we'll take a few seconds to remember the victims of the Pahalgam terrorist attack, where 27 Hindus were gunned down in cold blood after being asked to show their identification, just to make sure that they were Hindus before shooting them. And it was all the men who were killed. And this is quite similar to the Akshardham attack. So those of us who are old enough will remember the 2001 Akshardham attacks, where even small children were forced to recite Vande Mataram before being shot dead, by the terrorists. Okay, so since we are starting a new series, we'll start off with Saraswati Vandana. Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada. So I put this search term in Google a couple of days back, and this is what turned up in the news tab. So CGI led bench to hear petitions challenging new Waqf Act. So hundreds of petitions, as expected, were launched against the amendment of 2025. And in Bengal, West Bengal, there have been riots. So in Murshidabad, two Hindu potters were dragged out of their house and hacked to death by a Muslim mob. And then, general, they went on a spree of looting, burning, pillaging, etc. So Kiran Rijiju, Minister of the Government of India, says that this was necessary to prevent issues like Munambam. So Munambam is a village near Kozhikode, and the Waqf Board of Kerala laid claim to the whole village based on some plot of land being donated at some point. And there's a plea in the apex court. I think this is filed by Vishnu Jain, who's also fighting the Kashi and Mathura cases, to exclude Hindus from purview of the Waqf Act of 1995. So the 2025 Act is essentially an upgradation of the 1995 Act. So the Waqf Act has, over the decades since independence, made the Waqf boards more stronger and given them absolutely arbitrary powers. The most atrocious one is the 2013 Act, or the 2013 amendment of the 1995 Act. And again, West Bengal continues to burn. So first we need to understand what is a Waqf. So what is the concept of the Waqf? And I've taken these definitions and everything going forward from the report of the Joint Committee on Waqf Amendment Bill 2024. This is a parliamentary committee which was constituted to study the Waqf issue and then give a report on what amendments should be made to the 1995 Act and 2013 Act. So everything will be taken from this report. So Waqf has been defined as the permanent dedication by any person of any movable or immovable property for any purpose recognized by Muslim law as pious, religious, or charitable. So fundamentally, Waqf is a donation. So you make a donation to Waqf and it becomes a permanent donation. So it can be assets, it can be money. So you cannot claim it back. And this is used for purposes of benefit for the Muslim community in theory. So that's the basic concept of Waqf. Some of the key points of this concept are: so it's made for charitable or religious purposes by Muslims exclusively. It cannot be gifted, sold, inherited, or encumbered. So what this means is, if your descendants, or if your son, grandson, or your daughters, granddaughters want to kind of claim the Waqf land or building or palace back, they can't do it. So once it's donated, it's considered as being donated to Allah, who is the Muslim God. And as per Islamic belief, since Allah is everlasting, so is the Waqf property. So you can never claim it back. What you can do is you can appoint caretakers for that property, which is why you have got different caretakers such as management committees, trusts, mutawalis, and so on and so forth. Now the interesting thing is there's no mention of Waqf in the Quran. Now the Quran itself was written a couple of centuries after the Arabs went on a rampage in mid 600s, and the Hadiths were written even much later. So the concept of Waqf is derived from the Hadith, not from the Quran, because that it's simply not mentioned anywhere in the Quran. Now, the funny thing is that the parliamentary committee report, you should go through at least the first 10-15 pages, if not the whole report. I'm just reading through it now. Very honorably mentions Islamic law. And India is supposedly a secular country. But in India, the definition of secular is twisted. Secular means that there are two sets of laws. One is the Islamic law for the Muslims, which is not constitutionally recognized, but is, with a wink wink, nod nod approach accepted. And you got the common law, which is applicable to Hindus. So Hindus suffer the most in any case. Now, here's a few interesting stats. I got this from a website called WAMSI, so that's WAMSI, which is the Waqf portal run by the Government of India, by the Ministry of Minority Affairs. So, quite a lot of interesting data on that site, because what's happened since 2014 is a lot of the land records have been digitized because there are massive irregularities, and this data is derived from those land records. So the total land controlled by the Waqf board is 3.8 million acres, massive amount of land. So, but the data on which I have built this or created this chart in the Vamsi portal does not have any data for Uttar Pradesh, because Uttar Pradesh has got two Waqf boards. One is the Shia Waqf board and the Sunni Waqf board. So I mean, the Waqf boards, you have got these Shia Sunni split. So interestingly, they have not given any data, but I suspect that if UP is added, this UP, the line will kind of shoot up straight up. So the 3.8 million acres probably excludes UP, and if Uttar Pradesh is added, this might be a bit more. So as per this chart, currently Madhya Pradesh has the highest number of Waqf control land, followed by Tamil Nadu, again very interesting, and Karnataka and Rajasthan, Jammu Kashmir, and then you got different states such as Gujarat, which is quite surprising that Gujarat doesn't have a lot of Waqf control land, because going by the population of Muslims in the state, I would assume that the numbers would be much higher. Okay, so let's look at the immovable property under the Waqf board. So the immovable property in the Waqf board is 8,72,805, and this includes your graveyards, your mosques, your buildings, your plots, your shops, your schools. So any fixed asset, typically related to land, is classed as immovable property. So the point I was making early on with the UP stats, with the number of acres on the Waqf board, is kind of backed up by the number of properties, because if you look at Uttar Pradesh, it's got the highest number of properties. I think just a little bit over 2 lakh immovable properties on the Waqf board. So once the UP stats are added to the acreage, I suspect the total acreage will go up. So what I want to do is quickly divert and show you the WAMC portal. So let me just change my options, and I should be able to go to the WAMC portal. So you should be able to see the WAMC portal now. Yep, there we go. So this is now going in descending order, run by the Government of India, by the Ministry of Minority Affairs, and then this is a project, Waqf Assets Management System of India, or WAMSI. So remember, this is a Government of India website, and what does it say? Once a Waqf, always a Waqf. So people who are under this misguided impression that just because the BJP is ruling India, that we are going to have a Hindu Rashtra sometime soon, that is not going to happen. It's kind of a daydream. The reason is the way the Republic of India or the Bharat Ganrajya has been made, and the constitution is fundamentally anti-Hindu in nature. It's the apartheid against Hindus is baked into the constitution. So that Hindu Rashtra thing is never going to happen as long as the Republic of India is in existence in its present form. Okay, so again, no more digression from the topic. Okay, so the number of Waqf estates, so it gives you all the stats: number of Waqf estates, immovable properties, movable properties, digitized records, and so on and so forth. And it also gives you interesting stats of what is the status of the immovable properties. So you can see for almost more than 50%, there's no information available on what's the status of the property. And you've got different classifications: alienate, encroached, and so on. So I would encourage you to go and have a look. and you can also see the data is broken down by different states. So you can drill down and see what data kind of interests you. And immovable property management, so Mutawali is a caretaker, and then you got no idea who's managing the properties. Again, I think roughly 50% of them. And you got the management committees and Waqf boards of different states. So again, types of immovable properties, the biggest one are the graveyards, the second highest are agricultural land, the third one is mosques, the fourth one is shops, and so on it goes on. So you can see there's a very broad spread of properties. I'm kind of slurring a bit today. Okay, so let's move back to our slides. Okay, there we go. Yeah, and so this was it for this time. In the next time, we will have a look at the history of the Waqf Acts. Their evolution from British times right till today, and we look at the key points of each of those acts. So friends, if you like this video, please do remember to share, like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Thank you.